Good evening everybody, and welcome back to episode 70 of Open Crypto, where we keep you informed on a bi-daily basis. If you're interested in keeping fully up to date on all things crypto, subscribe to the channel. We put out a new video every 12 hours. So today we're going to be talking about an article from Bitcoin magazine, and it's about Russia. Titled Russia Close to Legalizing International Trade in Bitcoin, Crypto Head of Finance Committee. The head of the state DUMA Finance Committee, DUMA is just basically their parliament, Finance Committee reportedly said Russia will legalize the use of cryptocurrency for international trade in January 2023. This is probably in response to all the dollar, euro, and other fiat government currency sanctions from the Western government due to the Ukraine invasion. So Russia's Congressional Finance Committee Chairman Anatoly Aksakov said the country is moving to greenlight international trade in cryptocurrency within the next month, according to a report by national news agency TASS. In January, we want to legalize cryptocurrencies to ensure foreign trade activities. I can't pronounce it, it's difficult to pronounce his name, Aksakov said, per a translated version of the report. The chairman highlighted that although Russia is taking steps to allow Bitcoin and cryptocurrency payments for imports, there are no plans to encourage similar usage of the burgeoning assets within the boundaries of the nation's territory. And remember, Russia used to be very crypto skeptic, and there's been all kinds of temporary bans and permanent bans on mining, bans on usage, bans on exchanges, bans on holding crypto, and then they've been reversed in parliament and all kinds of stuff. So it seems that now they're accepting it on an international level. They are willing to transact and receive payment for what I would imagine would be oil, gold, other commodities that they produce, wheat and what have you. The circulation of cryptocurrencies as a means of payment on the territory of Russia will be prohibited, and liability will be prescribed in this regard, he reportedly stated. But to pay for foreign trade transactions, we still assume the possibility of using cryptocurrencies, for example, for parallel imports. Russian officials have teased at this possibility for almost a year, following an intense package of Western sanctions deployed in the wake of the nation's invasion of Ukraine. Russia laid out a roadmap for Bitcoin regulation in January 22, and the Ministry of Finance submitted a proposal in the following month. Around the same time, US President Biden announced the first tranche of Russian sanctions, blocking 5 of the biggest Russian banks and freezing all the assets they held in America. 1 month later, Russia said it was open to selling natural gas for Bitcoin. I'm not actually sure if they've received any payment in Bitcoin for natural gas. I'll have to have a look into that. I'll do a separate video just on that once I've got more information, because I just don't know enough about it. There can be a variety of currencies, and that's a standard practice. If they want Bitcoin, we will trade in Bitcoin, the chairman of the country's Congressional Energy Committee, Pavel Zavalny, said in a press conference at the time. The great thing about Bitcoin is that it is politically neutral. It doesn't favour the West, it doesn't favour the East, it doesn't favour libertarians, Democrats, Republicans, or fascists, or anything socialist. It doesn't favour anyone. It's completely neutral. It's a mathematical protocol that just runs, and that's all it does. It just runs. It's a means of transferring value, and governments are starting to see, when sanctions are put on them, that there is now a new option. There is another option that they can run, and they don't need to trust each other. Every time that, let's say Germany and Saudi Arabia, if Germany want to buy oil from Saudi Arabia, they transact in dollars, and that's not particularly convenient for Germany or Saudi Arabia, because neither of them domestically use dollars. But what it does mean is that it forces them to hold the dollar, and if they have to hold the dollar because it's something that they both accept, then that creates demand on the dollar, and that makes the dollar powerful, as you can imagine. So if they can use something that's not the dollar, like gold, or Bitcoin, then they would. The problem is with gold is it's difficult to transport in the amounts that they buy. If they're buying, I think Russia produces about $1 billion worth of oil per day. So to do that, to move that kind of gold, it would just be a lot, not just the weight of it, but the security that you would need to transfer that amount of gold every time of transaction. It's not practical. It's a great store of value, but it's just not a good means, a medium of exchange and a good transaction it's not good for the user. It's not a good user experience, shall we say. Whereas Bitcoin can be done instantaneously, can be transferred anywhere, at any moment, 24 hours a day. You don't need to wait for the banks to open on a Monday morning. It can go through at 3 o'clock in the morning if you want. And so it's very convenient. Soon the idea gained steam and different areas of Russia's government began endorsing it. In April, the country's tax authority proposed a change to the local cryptocurrency bill to let entities accept cryptocurrency as payment in foreign trade. By May, the matter was being actively discussed in Russia. The Bank of Russia, which was hardest government body to be convinced, given its previous calls for a complete ban on Bitcoin and crypto, first nodded to the possibility of allowing Bitcoin payments for international settlement in June. In September, Russia's central bank agreed with the Ministry of Finance that it would be impossible to do without cross-border settlements in crypto. Now, as the year draws to a close, the legal basis to allow such payments is about to become a reality, per the TASS report. What governments are learning, as we've said before, that governments are used to having a monopoly on the Russian government over the ruble, the Federal Reserve over the US dollar, and the Bank of England and the British government over the pound. They are now seeing that they've got competition, and that actually competition is a good thing. And although governments have been used to having this monopoly in the currency world up to now, crypto is actually a freeing thing. It means that a government now cannot be sanctioned. So it's very much like gold. If you transfer gold from one party to another, nobody can really get in the way of that. They could get in the way of it, I suppose, but no one's going to physically get in the way of one government paying another government in gold, because it would probably start a war. Whereas with crypto, if you want to send Bitcoin from one peer to another, you can't even physically stand in the way of it. It just gets moved, it just gets transferred. So governments are now, some governments anyway, are seeing that this could actually be beneficial to them, especially ones that are being sanctioned for behaviour that the sanctioning government doesn't like and wants to try and stop you doing, or is trying to control you doing. So that's an interesting article, and I'm glad I found it. Thank you for listening and watching this evening. Remember, everybody, to please subscribe to the channel, join our team, and we will keep you updated on all things crypto every 12 hours. Smash that like button if you feel value from this video, and I'll see you all in 12 hours time.